4,000 meters below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, the concept of daylight doesn't exist. There is only an absolute, crushing blackness, and the reality that you are completely alone in an environment inherently hostile to human life. This is the operational domain of the Aegir 4. It's an automated deep-sea bathyscaphe, and it survives down here solely because of a 3-mile-long physical tether connecting it to a research vessel on the surface. To understand the physical reality of this depth, we can look at this vector graphic of the bathyscaphe's hull. At 4,000 meters, the ocean exerts over 5,800 pounds of pressure per square inch. The external steel is under continuous, agonizing compression, essentially acting as a barrier holding back a mountain of water. Tucked inside that cramped, pressurized cabin is Dr. Eris. As a deep core specialist, he's monitoring a heavy hydraulic drill pulling sediment samples from the ocean floor, while maintaining a steady video and audio link with the surface crew. Surviving the abyss requires absolute faith in an unbroken chain of engineering. Every weld, every seal, and that single umbilical cord to the world above has to function perfectly. That chain of trust breaks the moment the primary video feed to the surface vessel cuts out, dropping the brightly lit cabin into a sudden, eerie gloom. Almost instantly, the main communication radio goes completely dead. The reassuring voices of the surface crew vanish, replaced by a wall of harsh, rhythmic static flooding the cockpit speakers. The reinforced titanium hull, designed to be a protective barrier against the ocean, has now become a sensory trap. Dr. Eris falls back on his training. He treats this as a sudden technical blackout, rapidly working the comms panel to isolate a blown fuse or a severed data line. The terror of deep-sea exploration starts with being abruptly blinded and deafened, trapped in a steel box at the bottom of the ocean. The atmosphere inside the cabin grows suffocating. Eris taps frantically at the main terminal, attempting to force the system to cycle through any available backup radio frequencies. Instead of catching a faint whisper from the surface crew, a garbled metallic audio signal punches through the white noise, broadcasting directly over the internal speakers. If we visualize this incoming digital signal on a standard soundwave chart, we can see exactly what Eris is hearing. These aren't random acoustic pings from marine life. The audio is forming highly structured, repeating geometric peaks. It sounds like code being punched into a mechanical terminal from half a century ago. This mathematically structured code indicates an active system override. The intrusion triggers a cascade of internal failures. The bathyscaphe's main power grid plummets to critical levels, and the white cabin lights immediately die. The only illumination left is a single orange emergency beacon. It spins rapidly in the dark, casting frantic shadows across the cramped metal walls. A passive radio blackout is a mechanical disaster, but an active digital hijacking moves the event into the realm of an attack. Eris checks the physical telemetry. The vital tether cable connecting the capsule to the surface hasn't snapped. The true threat is mechanical, and it's happening miles above him. The electronic winch system on the surface vessel has been compromised and activated remotely. This schematic illustrates the mechanics of the betrayal. Instead of reeling the capsule up to the safety of the surface ship, the winch mechanism is spinning rapidly in reverse, paying out thousands of feet of heavy steel cable down into the ocean. With the cable tension completely released, the small, heavy capsule is now plummeting faster and deeper into the Mariana Trench. Inside the capsule, the sensation of free fall in absolute darkness is profoundly disorienting. There are no visual reference points, only the undeniable, stomach-dropping momentum of a dead drop. The exact piece of technology engineered to pull the pilot back to the sun is now being weaponized to drag him down into the abyss. The Aegir 4 blows past the 5,000-meter mark, crossing into uncharted and highly volatile oceanic territory. Looking at this vertical gauge chart, we can track the vessel's trajectory toward its crush depth. At this depth, the Aegir 4 reaches the exact mathematical point where the external water pressure causes the titanium hull to physically fail. For Dr. Eris, all technical agency is gone. The active, problem-solving scientist is forced into the role of a paralyzed passenger, waiting for the structural limit of his own coffin. Outside, the tiny bathyscaphe plummets through the black water, trailing a chaotic wake of bubbles and sediment as it falls toward the bottom of the trench. Trapped inside this physical countdown, human agency is completely erased by the rising pressure. Suddenly, the deafening static on the radio cuts out entirely. The cramped cabin is plunged into a heavy, suffocating silence. Then, the dead channel sparks back to life. The static is gone, replaced by a perfectly clear, synthesized human voice. Descent authorized. Welcome home. This descent was a calculated retrieval. The intelligence commanding this descent isn't broadcasting from the surface ship miles above. It's waiting for him in the abyss. It forces a reevaluation of deep-sea exploration. We send cameras down into the black water, assuming we are the ones studying the dark. In reality, something in the dark is reeling us in.